Churches and other religious institutions will be closely watching the President's address tonight to see if there'll be further restrictions on gatherings. Currently, 50 people are allowed at indoor gatherings, while 100 can gather outside. During the hard lockdown earlier last year, churches were forced to shut their doors completely, leaving many in distress. So how do churches feel about navigating the third wave of the infection? Let's speak to Pastor Mosa Sono from the Grace Bible Church. Thank you for your time, Pastor Sono. Tell me, what is the responsible thing for churches to do in these circumstances? You've heard how very easily the Delta variant transmits from one human being to another.
Yes, and I thank you so much for having me. And I think it's a major concern, the speed at which infections happen. And I think churches have demonstrated so far that we are about the saving of people's lives. And that has been demonstrated in the protocols that churches have observed. Ever since at the onset, we gave full support to what our leaders have said. But I think in this journey that we all have been in, we realize that this COVID-19 is going to be with us for a very long time. And things can change so quickly and so rapidly. Whilst we should save lives, we are struggling with that tricky balance of the saving of lives, of people's spirituality, because these are times of doom and gloom. People feel down, they need spiritual intervention, they need to be ministered to, and COVID has become a very lonely journey for many people. And the feedback we get from people as we pastor is that they really need some time to worship and some time to be at church. If that can be done in a proper, balanced, safe way, with the protocols being observed, that really would be a win-win situation. And we understand it's not easy for us as leaders to really know what's the best thing to do. But just like the economy is considered, and many other sectors are considered, with that critical balance, we think there should be that critical balance to say, how does the church still have church with, if not heightened protocols, extra things that can be done just to ensure the safety of the people? And that's the thing. And we also feel that we also should call the nation to prayer in this time, because it's a very critical time and a difficult time for us in this country.
So, Pastor Sono, let's understand, what do you mean when you talk about increased protocol? So you are aware, like all of us, over the last few days, we've heard about the Delta variant's transmissibility. We even hear that it could take 15 minutes of interaction between two people for this to spread between them, if one of them already has the virus, and could be asymptomatic. That's, of course, the shocking thing about it. They don't have to show symptoms in order to spread this virus. How do you manage that in a church setting?
Well, if you look at the protocols that were given in terms of the wearing of masks, the sanitizing, the social distancing, because even if the virus spreads so quick, if these non-medical means are not adopted in a strict way, then infection happens, as it can happen in Texas, as it can happen in the malls.
But Pastor Sono, that was the protocol for the original COVID virus, which was not as infectious as the Delta variant that we are facing now. So this is a far more transmissible virus. There has to be a change in the protocol, clearly, because this is not, we're dealing with something completely different. How would you suggest your church responds to the fact that this is far more transmissible, can infect people quicker, and people don't have to have symptoms in order to infect others?
Well, that is true. And by the way, that could still be applicable anywhere else, whether people go to school or anywhere. I think one of the things that is very difficult for us in the religious sector is that, if these restrictions were to be across the board, it would make more sense. It really would make more sense. If you think about it, churches meet much less frequently than many other sectors. The interaction is now, we're just having services for an hour. We're not saying an hour people will not get infected. But if you really look at the frequency and the rate at which churches meet, is much more less. Yes, we support any safety protocols. We will be the first ones to do so. But I think what should happen is there no way there can be a certain way in which all sectors can comply?
So let me just interrupt to ask you this. So in your view, Pastor Sono, do you think that government is not even-handed about the way that it imposes the restrictions? So in other words, it might say churches stop, shut down, but it still allows taxis to operate. Is that the point that you're making?
Look, taxis are operating. We have seen recently some of the political meetings that have gone on. There's a lot of pictures or what we see, what's going on in taverns. There's a lot going on around. And I think we are more prone to support government as churches. We will do that. But it doesn't seem even-handed. I think that is where we feel a little let down. Even in our interactions with our leaders, on many levels, by the way, we've been interacting. So far, we have never received feedback from them about some of the things that we have recommended. Even in times when the numbers were not what they are, even when we went down to level 1, there was no feedback on the things that churches have presented. And I think government this time should truly demonstrate to us that they are even-handed. You know, and I think that is where the dilemma is.
Why do you think you're a soft target? Because that's really what you're saying.
I really would like to know, because honestly, we have tried to interact with government to that extent. We don't understand. We've raised the issues around police being very inspired to go and close down churches. We've raised all these things with government. We don't understand. Maybe we will know. I don't know, is it because we are more compliant? Is it because we will not return to certain means? I don't know. But if I really would appeal personally to our government leaders, because remember, a person can catch COVID in a taxi and bring it to a church service, or at a mall and bring it to a church service, However, I do want to emphasize, we will always be the first ones to support what our government is doing. But this unevenness is causing major problems because the people that we are leading are asking us, why can't we come to church? Why can't we be prayed for? Why can't we meet together? Because in these times that we are in, we need spiritual intervention. And that's a major, major thing that we're unable to answer. And it's very glaring, the unevenness that is there.